In the golden dust of Hollywood's Old West, two legends rode, taller than all the rest. William Boyd, the silver-haired hero Hopalong Cassidy, was the moral compass for an entire generation of children, a symbol of clean living virtue. And then, there was Randolph Scott, the stoic, square-jawed loner, whose quiet integrity on screen made him one of the most bankable stars in the world. To the public, they were titans of American masculinity, beacons of honor in a world of black and white hats. But behind the scenes, these two men shared a quiet, fiercely protected friendship, one that shielded one of the era's most volatile and persistent secrets. It was a secret Randolph Scott would take to his grave, a story that William Boyd guarded with unwavering loyalty for decades. But as the sun began to set on his own life, Boyd finally broke his vow of silence. In a rare, unguarded moment, he revealed what he knew about his friend's hidden life, and in doing so, he pulled back the curtain on the dark, complicated truth of the very Hollywood dream they both helped create. The whispers that followed Randolph Scott throughout his career were relentless, a constant hum beneath the surface of his fame. He was ruggedly handsome, immensely wealthy, and a superstar. Yet he remained one of Hollywood's most famously guarded bachelors. The real story, the one the studios worked tirelessly to suppress, centered on his uniquely intimate relationship with another of Hollywood's leading men, the debonair Cary Grant. For a staggering 12 years, these two global icons lived together in a sprawling Santa Monica beach house they affectionately called Bachelor Hall. The official studio line, fed to gossip columnists and hungry fans, was that they were just two financially savvy friends splitting the rent. But the photographs, often arranged by the studios themselves in a bizarre attempt to normalize the situation, told a far more compelling story. There were pictures of them exercising in matching outfits, tanning by their shared pool, and sharing quiet domestic meals. The images radiated a level of comfort and intimacy that felt leagues deeper than a simple friendship. An infamous 1933 photo spread in Modern Screen magazine, ironically titled The Bachelor Gay, documented their shared life with candid glee. The world was looking at one of Hollywood's greatest secrets, hidden in plain sight. For the insiders, the directors, the writers, the rival actor Sit was the town's best-kept open secret. The speculation was rampant. Were they lovers in a time when such a thing could mean utter ruin? The pressure from the studios was immense. Both Paramount and RKO, the studios that held their contracts, pushed them into a series of strategic, often short-lived marriages. These unions were widely seen as beards, public performances designed to quell the rumors and protect the box office. Scott married a wealthy heiress, a union that quickly and quietly dissolved. Grant's romantic entanglements were more numerous and more public, but the shadow of his time with Scott never truly faded. In an era governed by the puritanical Hays Code, where moral turpitude clauses in contracts could destroy a career, overnight, Randolph Scott's private life was a ticking time bomb. He needed allies, friends who understood the brutal stakes and who could be trusted to keep their mouths shut. Across town, another cowboy icon was meticulously building an empire. William Boyd was Hopalong Cassidy, the white-haired lawman in the iconic black attire. He was a hero to millions, a brand synonymous with honor and integrity. But the man behind the myth was no stranger to the cruel whims of Hollywood fate. His own journey was almost over before it truly began. In the late 1920s, Boyd was a charismatic leading man, his star rapidly ascending in the brand new world of talkies. But his life came to a screeching halt over a devastating case of mistaken identity. Another actor, also named William Boyd, was arrested for hosting a wild, liquor-soaked party that ended in a police raid, a serious offense during Prohibition. In their haste, newspapers plastered the wrong William Boyd's photo across their front pages. Overnight, the future Hopalong Cassidy became a public disgrace. Studios, terrified of controversy, invoked the morality clauses in his contracts and blacklisted him. His reputation was in tatters. He was on the verge of complete obscurity, a casualty of the same vicious gossip machine that kept men like Randolph Scott in a constant state of fear. Boyd, however, refused to be broken. He fought his way back from the brink, eventually making a move of incredible audacity. He scraped together every penny he had and bought the film rights to a series of forgotten Western pulp novels featuring a character named Hopalong Cassidy. It was a desperate, all-or-nothing gamble. His experience taught him a fundamental lesson of survival in Hollywood. The image is everything, and the only thing more fragile than the truth is a star's reputation. Boyd's obsession with protecting his image was forged not just in professional scandal, but in the crucible of profound personal heartbreak. While his on-screen persona, Hoppy, became a beloved father figure to an entire nation, William Boyd's own family life was marked by a grief few could comprehend. With his second wife, actress Ruth Miller, he fathered his only child, a son, named William Wallace Boyd. But their joy was tragically short-lived. Their infant son succumbed to whooping cough at just 9 months old. The loss was a cataclysmic event in Boyd's life, an emotional wound that never fully healed. He buried the pain deep inside, rarely speaking of it, but those close to him knew it fueled his relentless drive, his quest for the stable family life he craved seemed cursed. He married 5 times, a string of unions with prominent Hollywood women, from heiress Laura Murr to silent film star Eleanor Fair. Each relationship began with hope, but ultimately disintegrated. Under the immense pressures of celebrity life, this cycle of loss and failure instilled in him a fierce, almost obsessive, need for control. It wasn't until his 5th and final marriage to the actress Grace Bradley that he found a lasting and profound partnership. She became his anchor, his confidant, and his staunchest defender. These deep-seated tragedies are the key to understanding the man. They explain why he would later go to such extraordinary lengths to protect the one thing he felt he could still control, the untarnished legacy of Hopalong Cassidy. It's no surprise, then, that Boyd and Randolph Scott would forge such a unique and durable friendship. Theirs was not a bond for the Hollywood party circuit. It was an alliance built in the quiet spaces, far from the flashbulbs and prying eyes. They were seen on occasional fishing trips or at private lunches, sharing a mutual understanding of the immense weight they carried. They were the reigning kings of the same genre, yet they embodied 2 distinct archetypes of the American hero. Boyd, the warm and approachable lawman. Scott, the cool and distant man of principle. They were living proof that in Hollywood, the bigger the star, the bigger the target on your back. In an industry ruled by the iron fist of the Hays Code and policed by powerful gossip columnists like Hedda Hopper and Luella, Parsons' women who could end a career with a single-sentence discretion was more than a virtue, was a survival tactic. Boyd, a man who had been publicly shamed and privately shattered, was the perfect confidant for Scott, a man whose entire existence depended on a secret being kept. Their friendship was an unspoken pact, a shared loyalty in the face of a predatory system. They talked about legacy, about the kind of heroes they wanted to leave behind, and about the brutal cost of maintaining that image. For decades, William Boyd honored that silent pact. As the whispers about Scott and Grant evolved into books and documentaries, he remained resolutely silent. But late in his life, frail and reflecting on a lifetime in the rearview mirror, he finally consented to a rare interview. The dam broke. But what came pouring out wasn't salacious gossip or a deathbed confession. It was something far more powerful, a passionate, righteous defense of his friend. With a voice tinged with the nostalgia and conviction of a bygone era, Boyd declared, "Randy didn't owe the world an explanation for who he loved or how he lived. He lived with grace and decency." That should have been enough. It was a breathtaking moment. It wasn't just defending a friend, it was indicting the entire culture of celebrity intrusion. He was condemning the predatory nature of fame and championing a man's fundamental right to privacy. This was William Boyd, the man who had been burned by that very system, rising for one last stand. His words were a rebuke to the hypocrisy of the studios that sold wholesome family, entertainment to the masses while forcing their biggest stars to live in quiet fear and suffocating secrecy. He was speaking for Scott, for himself, and for every other star who had to hide a part of themselves to survive in his final years. William Boyd made a decision that baffled the public, but made perfect sense in the context of his life. At absolute peak of his fame, with the Hoppy brand generating millions from films, television, and an endless array of merchandise, he simply disappeared. He refused all interviews, rejected every request for new photographs, and turned down every offer for a public appearance. He was determined that the world's last image of him would be the heroic Hopalong Cassidy, riding off into the sunset. Not a frail, aging man, it was the ultimate act of narrative control. After experiencing public humiliation, enduring unimaginable private loss, and witnessing firsthand what the industry could do to a friend like Randolph Scott, Boyd decided to build a fortress around his legacy, ensuring it would remain forever pristine. He retired to the quiet desert community of Palm Desert, trading Hollywood's chaos for a life of real estate investment and cherished privacy. When William Boyd finally broke his silence, he did more than just reminisce about an old friend, delivered a final, powerful verdict on the golden age of Hollywood itself. He exposed a world where the heroes who graced the silver screen were often trapped in off-screen nightmares, forced to make an impossible choice between their fame and their truth. Boyd's unwavering loyalty to Randolph Scott was his last, quiet act of rebellion against a system that demanded a piece of its stars' souls. It leaves us with a question that feels more relevant today than ever. Does the private life of an artist, however complicated, diminish the legacy they leave behind? For William Boyd, the answer was written in a lifetime of integrity. A hero's true character, he seemed to say, is not measured by the battles won on screen, but by the quiet dignity they protect when the cameras finally stop rolling.